Hello, and welcome to our 2019 mid-year market update on the integration industry. Um, I'd like to talk a little bit about our purpose here today, our plan of attack, and introduce myself and my fellow presenters. In terms of purpose, we're looking to provide a look at the 2019 first half and full year market health of the integration industry and some highlights. The goal is to provide useful information to the supplier community, to manufacturers, distributors, service providers on, it'll be useful in calibrating your channel related sales and marketing investments. So that's our goal. This session is being brought to you by Emerald Expo and multiple brands, right? So the media brands, CE Pro, Commercial Integrator, Security Sales and Integration, CEDIA Expo, and the Total Tech Summit. And finally, to introductions of your presenters here today. So I am John Galante. I'm the president of AE Ventures. We are the producers of the Total Tech Summit on behalf of Emerald Expo. I also have with me Jason Knott. Jason, you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks for having me, John. I'm the editor of CE Pro, and I'm excited to be here today.
And he's also the Chief Content Officer, which he's so humble, he keeps that title in his back pocket, but Chief Content Officer of Emerald Media. Tom LeBlanc, introduce yourself.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me today. I'm Tom LeBlanc. As you said, I'm the editorial director for Commercial Integrator, and I'm very happy to be here.
Great. Thank you. Scotty.
Hey, John, good to be here. My name is Scott Goldfein, and I am the editor-in-chief and associate publisher of Security Sales and Integration. Joined the publication in 1998 and love the industry. So excited about this session. Thanks, John.
We're looking at 1.25 million housing starts in 2019. These are the projections. It's kind of an average of projections from NAB, the National Association of Realtors, and some of the mortgage and finance companies. It's basically flat or just a little bit up in terms of starts from last year. I like to call this the Goldilocks construction market because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. When it's too hot, what happens is the builders are not trying to maximize the amenity sales in individual units, and they're concentrating on flipping properties for the capital gains. That's not a good market for the technology industry. And when it's too cold, there's just less dollars in the system. But we're plunking along right at about the 30-year average of 1.25 million housing starts for 2019. For those of you who are working the commercial, industrial, institutional space, we have non-residential construction up almost 5% in just the January, February timeframe. Some of our data sets from the federal government are coming slower because of the government shutdown in January. So we just have a couple of months on record right now. The fast growers in commercial, industrial, institutional, amusement and recreation, lodging, and office. And there is some contraction in a couple of the institutional categories, religious and healthcare.
So this is encouraging news. I've heard from companies, maybe a little bit anecdotally, that are increasing their focus on hotels because they see the rising opportunities in that market. I'd say, the office construction thing, that's the big data point, even though it's a smaller number. It goes without saying that office construction is really good for the commercial AV industry. Over 80% of CI's audience, according to our readership survey, serves corporate customers. And the opportunity not only to update existing offices with meeting room solutions, that sort of thing, but also to address a growing, new construction market is huge for CIs.
From the security dealer integrator perspective, I'm hearing out there is typically, low to mid percentage growth numbers. And if you're really doing well, you're hitting those double digits. But most feel that the economy is strong, and there's a lot of business in the pipeline now that there wasn't, several years ago with the recession effects. So they're pretty, we're calling it good, not great, but people are pretty happy with the current situation.
All right, let's dig in a little more granularly to the integration industry using the survey. So first slide here on the survey is just a little bit about our method and the response. So this was a online SurveyMonkey with emailed invitations to the readers of CE Pro, Commercial Integrator, and SSI. Our only incentive was an executive summary of the report, which we will be delivering to the respondents shortly. And we got just about 300 responses. This is probably what you suppliers are most interested in and will make most use of. It's look at the first half growth that's projected by these integrators, and we're pretty darn close to the end of the first half, so that should be a pretty accurate read. And then also what they're projecting in terms of growth for the full year. This is what the market reality is that you might want to juxtapose to the headline newspaper reality that's being promoted out there. So you could see it's looking like good solid growth. The resi focused players in the 5 to 6% range, and the commercial market focused players in the 7.5 to 10% range. So those are pretty darn good, healthy numbers. The vast majority of the respondents are projecting increases in revenue. And this is information that should be shared with your finance department. We know we know what the CFNO has been saying. This is what the market is saying. And is it really prudent to decrease sales and marketing investments in a growing market? What you end up with is decreased market share and really a decreased ability to generate ongoing revenues because of that loss of share. So I think this is, one of the headline slides, and I hope it gets forwarded to other folks in your organizations. Anyone else have a thought on that?
I'll just reiterate, this is the most important slide you're going to see today. And as we talked about before, the emotional and psychological elements that people are talking about with the economy, and then to see the strong growth in the first half, and then that 3 of the 4 groups are also predicting even better growth for the second half of the year is the reality.
All right. Now let's dig in a little more granularly, segment by segment, from a product perspective. Jason, do you have any commentary on this first slide on the Resi Custom Integrators product mix slide?
Yeah, I'll just be brief. We talked about it already a couple of times. It's not surprising to see lighting and lighting controls and lighting fixtures are a very hot category, leading the way here with double-digit growth percentages. Then you see shade control, networks, automation, and video surveillance, which is kind of the big crossover category between all 3 groups that we're talking about here today.
All right, let's keep going. Let's go to Commercial Integrator. I'm not going to dig in very deeply on this. I'm going to turn it over to Tom to give us his wit and wisdom on this slide.
All right. I don't know that I can offer you either, but I can definitely dig in.
All right.
So a couple of the biggest growth categories that you see here kind of fall into the security realm. I think that's kind of interesting. So you got like keyless, remote control locks, and electronic access control. I think that's got to be partly because of what we talked about earlier, where it's largely the IT department that are making the purchasing decisions these days. And if you're a person in the IT department who's engaging with an integration firm, there are less stark differences between the categories than there might be perceived by an integration firm itself. So the IT director who's making these purchases might say, well, these products are going on the network. These AV products are going on the network. So is the keyless remote control. So is the electronic access control. So why am I dealing with different vendors? And I think it's creating new opportunities for AV integrators to get involved in those categories. And add to that the fact that access control is a really exciting category for an AV integrator because it provides a lot of the valuable information that they've been promising to their customers. Things about, what employees are doing in terms of utilization of rooms and coming and going. This is valuable business information that an integrator can share with their customer.
All right, let's move on to the security piece. We've got our security integrators, SMB, Resi focused. It's all the high growth categories are core focuses for these dealers. The thing that really pops for me here is home automation, being 95% of these integrators active in it, and it's one of the hot growth categories at 7.8%.
I want to emphasize before dipping into the products, what a different animal security is. You're protecting lives, you're protecting assets. So, dealers and integrators cannot be beta tested, and they really need proven products, and they need, ironclad support from their suppliers to deliver solutions that can protect lives and protect property. So, home automation is one thing, and a lot of those things are sexy and help sell security, but the basis of it all, no matter what, for security guys, is the security. So, and that's a great place to be, because I think it all springs from that when you're talking about home automation or some of the other types of add-ons you might want to do on the commercial side. You can't have a better foundation, in my opinion, than security. Video, as you mentioned, enormous in the commercial realm. We see no ceiling on that. I mean, there's so many advances that keep coming, whether it's multi-sensor cameras, video analytics, thermal imaging, moving to 4K. It's endless. And access control is increasing along with that. Combining them together is a great way to make the whole bigger than the sum of the parts.
We asked about major challenges for all of these integration sectors. I've got 4 slides here with the call outs, and we're going to go through them real quick. We'll flip through them. I think the highlight for 3 of the 4 sectors is it's the same 3 that are top 3. It's finding and developing technical staff, it's finding and developing sales staff, and it's competing with inexpensive mass marketed offers. So, like, why do we ask, why are you as a supplier, hopefully you're still with us, we've been going longer than we thought, but as a supplier, why do you care about their major challenges? Well, it's of course because you want to be a full-blown solution provider to your channel partner. You want to be a trusted advisor. You don't just want to peddle products to them. So you have to think about, if these are the major challenges, what can you do from a product and process alignment perspective to help your dealer integrator partners cope with these major challenges? So anything you can do to make it easier to install your products so that there's less of a labor requirement is going to be appreciated. Anything you can do to make it easier to sell your products, because they can't get the salespeople either, is going to be appreciated. And anything you can do from a playbook perspective in terms of helping them differentiate from these mass marketed, inexpensive DIY offers, again, is going to be appreciated. All right, so we're through the substance of our market update, and now please just hang on with us for a couple minutes while we provide some updates on Emerald Media and events. We're going to start with the media side of things, and I've got some bullet points that our publishers, Ray Lyons and Steve Nesbitt, provided here on the 3 brands. I'm just going to give some of my own opinion as well, so you can read these bullets. But well, CE Pro has a soft spot in my heart because I actually sat in Jason's seat as editor 20 some years ago. Actually, when we transitioned the brand from Home Automation Pro to CE Pro, that was a long time ago. But this is really, and Jason and Julie and their whole team, they've just they've been there so consistently, substantively, and deeply for the industry, not just as reporters, but as partners with the industry and helping it develop it. And there's just no brand that serves this space that has the same sort of following or affinity among the integrators themselves. For a commercial integrator, not as long established, but Tom's just done a great job of developing a strong editorial niche and mission there, very much dedicated to helping these integrators cope with their business issues, as well as work through their product and market mix issues in thoughtful and creative ways. And SSI, Scott, you've been on the beat there for how many years now?
Over 20.
Over 20. And this is, again, somebody who has a partnership approach with the industry. Nobody does the amount of research on what's going on operationally with dealers or what's going on from a market perspective that SSI does. And so editorially, these are all top shelf brands with well-known leaders who are extremely well connected to the industry. That's the point of the starting point of value. The end point that you need to talk to the publishers about is all of these creative ways that Emerald Media have come up with to reach the best players in these markets and to percolate out leads, awareness, and interest for your products. Next up, September 12 through 14 this year in Denver, Colorado is CEDIA Expo. Now in its 30th year. I remember when this was launched by the Robidoux in 1989. It was kind of a spin out of Summer CES, believe it or not. But now 30 years old, CEDIA Expo. This is clearly the #1 trade show for custom integrators. 20,000 plus attendees projected. Some things to think about on this audience. So we talked about the residential security integrator needing home automation and to some extent AV as table stakes. The converse is true, that the custom integrators are increasingly offering security alongside of the AV and control offers, and that's not just for residential customers, but for SMB customers. They are also playing in that light commercial market, offices and hospitality industry, restaurants, bars, and clubs in particular. So that's a channel for vendors of products in that category. The show is growing its design attendance base. So interior designers, both in light commercial and residential, and architecture are growing at CEDIA Expo, and there are ways to touch those folks. They're addressing this next circle with a health and wellness pavilion. I think, Jason, you're integrally involved with that. There's a security pavilion, and then they've got Innovation Alley for startups. So extremely vibrant, critical event for the custom integration industry with lots of ways for you to succeed. And then finally is a little thing we call the Total Tech Summit. So that's coming up in November in Fort Worth. We're going into our 12th year with that event. It's a hosted style event. So we pay for and arrange flights, hotel, complimentary registration, awesome executive experience for our guests. And they are, in recognition of those benefits, obliged to meet with our sponsoring companies and 35-minute boardroom presentations and 15-minute one-on-one meetings. So it's a way to break through and accelerate sales traction with these bigger, better players in custom, commercial, and security integration. We work closely with all of the editors who've been here on this presentation and developing the content program. And it's a different kind of play, but one that can be very successful for you in terms of quality interactions with quality integrator guests. And since Emerald acquired this event about a year ago, and we're operating it and managing it for them, but they've really worked with us to make some investments in the event so that it has even more impact. One area is what we call amplification programs, where the media brands will work with sponsoring companies on presentation materials and on ripple effect programs that happen after the event to stimulate additional inquiries. These guys are going to cover more of the event editorially in the publications moving forward, and we're also going to have an improved look and feel in the exhibition area and public spaces. So a lot of positive stuff going on for Total Tech. I'm the guy you want to talk to if you're interested in sponsorship opportunities here. So our last slide is just the key contacts. Ray, Steve, Jason, Tom, and Scott are all listed here with their email addresses. It's Ashley Sprengnether, but she's your contact on CEDIA. And then it's little old me for the Total Tech sponsorship.